So Angel Reese is injured. She is out for the season, and look, she is injured. I'm not gonna be one of those conspiracy theorists that say she's not, because I've made plenty of videos about that. She is hurt. She is 100% hurt. And I saw something really good from Rachel DeMita, because when people are talking about the whole topic of everything about Angel Reese, look, it's good. It's good when we talk about just basketball, because ideally that's what people should be talking about. The good and the bad. She's got a lot of positives. She's got a lot of weaknesses in her game. But when we're talking about the non-basketball stuff, obviously there are factors to everything. Like some of the stuff that she's had said about her, we all know that the amount of abuse that she's gotten is something that nobody should ever have to take. And even if you hate Angel Reese, you know that some of the stuff that like has been put out about her is just not good. It's just not good at all. And if you guys agree with that, at least subscribe. We're trying to hit 34.2k by the end of the day, and we're 19 away. But today I actually saw something from Rachel DeMita talking about Angel Reese. And it is about the podcast thing, where basically saying that calling out Fever fans was probably not the right idea. And I actually stand by what Rachel DeMita is saying in this. So I'm going to put this on 1.5 times speed. It's obviously only just a part of her video talking about the whole thing. And look, like, I know where Rachel DeMita is coming from, by the way. I came from the 2K community too. Like, I know how toxic that is. And again, like, she talks about how the toxicity she's had to deal with, and she's like on, like, Angel's on like another level to her, and Rachel DeMita's on another level to me. And I know how bad the 2K community is. So trust me on this. She is not lying with some of the stuff that she's saying, even about herself.
Don't think that she should have ever taken on that villain role. And she said it herself. That's why I'm saying it here. If you guys remember this interview right here, here's where she said that she doesn't mind being the bad guy.
It all started from the national championship game, and I've been dealing with this for 2 years now. And understanding, like, yeah, negative things have probably been said about me, but honestly, I'll take that, because look where women's basketball is. People are talking about women's basketball, but you never would think that we'd be talking about women's basketball. People are pulling up to games. We got celebrities coming to games, sold out arenas, like, just because of one single game. And just
I don't think she's right in that, but like, that game did have a big factor, but there was a reason why that game was breaking records, because Caitlin had just dropped a 40-point triple-double against Louisville, and then 40 points against LSU. And then you guys were the final boss that, unfortunately, she was not, well, not unfortunately, that she just wasn't able to beat.
looking at that, like, I'll take that role. I'll take the bad guy role, and I'll continue to take that on and be that for my teammates. And if I want to be that, and I know I'll go down in history, I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person, it's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that.
So that
like, that was right after like the Kennedy Carter cheap shot, but at the same time, when it comes to taking on the villain role, if you're taking on the villain role, you've got to, it's very hard to take on the villain role if you care about being liked, which Angel Reese very clearly does. She cares about being liked. She is like, and she knows she has some even crazy fans that have called her rivalry with Caitlin Clark. It's like giving Serena versus Sharapova, because in the year of 2021, Angel Reese beat Caitlin Clark in a game. I don't know. It's in fact almost the opposite of Serena and Sharapova, because Sharapova won a couple of times to start and never won again. But unless of course she's saying that Angel Reese is Sharapova, then fair enough. But like, if you want to be the villain, you got to go either full Dylan Brooks, which is like, I know every single person's going to hate me and I'm cool with that, or you go full Skip Bayless, where you actually just don't follow anyone on Twitter. You use your Twitter, you hit your profile page, and you just start tweeting stuff, and you don't even read the replies. That is the only two ways you can go full villain. If you try to go full villain while still having anybody like you, you're going to go drive yourself crazy. Because if you go full villain, the internet will treat you like you're a full villain.
Interview was from about 3 months ago at the beginning of the season, where obviously a lot of people were anticipating this Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese rivalry that we saw in college, and a lot of people were looking forward to that in the WNBA. I'm going to preface all of this by saying the rivalry worked. The media hyping up these two players and acting like Angel Reese has been in the Rookie of the Year conversation, when in my personal opinion, that just isn't even fair to her to say when Caitlin ran away with this a few months ago.
I think it's unfair to say now, but I do think there was a point where the Fever were losing a lot of games, like when the Fever were 2-9 or 1-8, and the Sky were nearly 500, and Angel Reese was like locking people down, doing all of the little things. Ironically, it was before the double-double streak, when she was doing all the little things, and it's like, Do you take the person who is statistically better on a worse team, or do you take the person who's helping their team win games? Obviously, hindsight 2020, there's no argument right now, but there was times where there were arguments you could make for Angel Reese. But yes, like, I think from the last 5 games going into the Olympic break, it was over. It was over.
Having that rivalry worked when it comes to viewership, when it comes to engagement, when it comes to all of those things. However, seeing Angel Reese in the media throughout the past 3 months and how she has come out multiple times and said how she gets a lot of hate online, she gets bullied, different things are sent to her. A lot of these things are alluding to the fact, and she even said that in her farewell letter, that this is the first time that she will get a physical and mental break. I do think that some of this drama, and she started some of it, to be fair, got to her and probably took up more mental space and emotional space than it should have. And I'm only
yeah, it 100% did. And this is coming from somebody that is like, you can tell when like trolling and stuff being said about you doesn't get you, because one of 2 things happens. You either completely ignore it or you just make fun of it. And you can tell just with anyone on social media and I actually think that a lot of the time, the mood you're in before reading the abuse or seeing some stuff normally affects how you see it. And then there's obviously like levels of abuse where it doesn't matter what mood you're in, like you're going to be affected badly. But when it starts to affect you, you can tell because they start replying in a combative way, and doing that just feeds on trolls. And as someone who again has had to deal with that and has made my fair share of mistakes in dealing with trolls, trying to be combative with trolls is exactly what they want from you. And unfortunately, that seems to be happening with Angel Reese right now.
Only saying this because we've seen her continue to like make little sly remarks, even though she says there's no bad blood between her and Caitlyn. And also not all of this is directed at Caitlyn. She just likes to call out haters and clap back at haters and say different things. And my advice to her, from somebody who has been in this industry, maybe not the highest spotlight that she is at, but I have been in somewhat of this spotlight in the sports world, the more that you clap back, the more that you say things, whether you're right or not, whether you're defending yourself in the proper way or not, more is going to come back at you. The more that she says like, hey haters, like it wasn't this, I'm this, it fuels those negative people to continue saying negative things about you. When she went on her podcast, in her first episode in her podcast, like the title, I don't know if she changed it at this point because Caitlyn Clark was also like in the thumbnail of her video, but the title being like addressing the Caitlyn Clark drama. And while in that podcast, she said that she respects Caitlyn, she's sure that they'll play together. And I like agree with her on all this. I'm not saying that she's lying about any of this, but when she then throws in, but Caitlyn Clark fans do this, and this, just that little piece of information, just that little thing that you said is going to stir up more controversy and people coming back at you.
And I actually think that she's on the money with that. And the worst part about this is that the worst of the worst were not Caitlyn Clark fans, by the way. Some of the stuff that Angel Reese said that was done to her, that it wasn't done by Caitlyn Clark fans. Realistically, the Caitlyn Clark fanatics on Twitter are going to be responding in a way that it's mildly annoying. But like when people go as far as some people went to Caitlyn Clark, that is like full on, or it's not Caitlyn Clark, to Angel Reese. And by the way, similar things to Caitlyn Clark. Like, let's not forget, before the season started, people hacked into a phone and leaked. I'll end it there for Caitlyn Clark. Like, let's not forget that happened too. Like, these are not Caitlyn Clark fans. These are not Angel Reese fans. These are crazy people. And that's the problem is that when you lump the fans of a player in with the crazy people, you're going to piss off the fans of the player, and you're going to make those fans of the player get closer and closer and closer towards the crazy people.
I know this because I have also been a target where, like I've said, you guys, if you're not familiar with me or like know my backstory, I've been working with the NBA, working in the sports world for over 10 years now.
Rachel DeMita is, when she says she's not like at Angel Reese level of fame, she was not far off. And I mean that. Like Rachel DeMita, when she was working for 2K, not far off Angel Reese levels of fame. Like, after, you know what? I'll put her on a similar level of celebrity, maybe higher. She might have been the face. She was the face of 2K. Screw Ronnie 2K at that time. She was the face of 2K at that time.
I hosted a show in NBA 2K, and with that, it's like sports fans and video game fans, when those come together, like that's a crazy fan base to have, okay? So I have seen, and again, I'm not negating anything that Angel has seen, and she is at a bigger level of stardom than I have ever been.
Barely. Trust me, barely.
However, I've seen and heard it all. I have had fake photos created of me and circulated online. I have had to get private investigators involved into fans that were stalking and making like really crazy threats and posting my address online. I have heard it all. I've had interactions with fans that have been wildly uncomfortable in person, like a lot of things. And I'm not saying also any of this for you guys to like feel bad for me. Like, it is what it is. It comes with the territory. However, I know that when it gets to a certain level, you have to ignore it more than you respond to it. There's always going to
like, she's on the money with that. And that's one of the things that I'm like looking at this, and she's right. Like, what Angel Reese is dealing with, and what Caitlin Clark's dealing with, what Dejanay Carrington deals with, what Aaliyah Boston deals with, what all of these players deal with, is more so a symptom of celebrity culture than it is about anything else. Than it is about the rivalry, than it is about anything. Like, as much as you don't ever want to deal with any of this stuff, no one should ever have to deal with it. And that's a point that can't be lost in all this, is that it is wrong. It's wrong what these people have to deal with. But the issue is that a lot of people are looking at this the complete wrong way, looking at it in a way that it can be stopped. Like, I've heard, like, this can't be stopped. It is a shit thing to say, but it can't be stopped. There are crazy people in the world. There are absolutely crazy people in the world. And the problem is that once you get into a level of celebrity culture, like, you're going to be in a situation where this happens. Obviously, what's happening to Angel Reese is unacceptable. The problem is there's no way to stop it. So, can you stop it? No. Then what is the next best thing to do? Try to make sure that it affects you in as minimum way possible. Like, could you imagine if Caitlin Clark had Twitter fingers? Being accused of being a KLAN member. Imagine, like, all of this stuff on Twitter. Could you imagine if she was looking on Twitter all the time? She would have had a mental breakdown and been out of the league within 5 games. So, do you have to do it? You have to go and make the best decision, because as much as it is wrong, what is happening to Angel Reese, what's happening to all these players, and what's gotten kind of caught up in this, it's very wrong what's happening to Caitlin Clark as well. But the reason why, the biggest reason why people aren't talking about the abuse Caitlin Clark is getting as well, which is maybe not towards the severity of Angel Reese, but the amount is greater than any other player, is because she doesn't respond. She doesn't respond, she doesn't see it, she doesn't let it affect her. And unfortunately, that's what these WNBA players have to do. They're going to have to do that. As much as people hate Kathy Engelbert for saying the players need to just ignore it, because there's nothing they can do. There's nothing anyone can do. There's nothing any amount of people can say that X, Y, and Z should be stopped to affect anything. The reality is there are millions of people online who get their kicks out of people reacting to trolling. And realistically, you're never going to stop that. The only person with the power to maybe stop that is Elon Musk by shutting down the X app tomorrow, which he's not going to do.